The night air in Mississippi, in the summer of 1857, was thick enough to taste. It clung to the skin. It smelled of damp earth, sweat, and something bitter, maybe fear. Cicadas screamed from the trees, as if they were warning anyone who would listen. Somewhere in the distance, a chain clinked softly, metal kissing metal with every slow step. Imagine standing there for a moment, barefoot, on packed dirt still warm from the sun that had disappeared hours ago. Your heart is pounding, not because you're running, but because you're waiting for something to happen, waiting for something to finally break. You see, plantations were loud during the day, whips cracking, overseers shouting, horses snorting under the sun. But at night, they were haunted places. Sounds traveled farther. Every whisper felt dangerous. Every shadow felt alive. And on this particular night, deep behind a cotton plantation near the Yazoo River, 9 small figures sat in a tight circle, lit by a single trembling candle. They were dolls, crude, handmade, stitched from scraps of cloth, Spanish moss, bits of hair, old buttons scavenged from the trash of the big house. Each one lay on the dirt like a tiny body, arms sewn tight, faces blank, except for faint markings scratched in with charcoal, and beside them, 9 needles, long, dark, sharp. Now, this is where it gets strange, because the woman holding those needles wasn't trembling. Her hands were steady, old, but steady. Her name, at least the name the plantation knew her by, was Mama Essie. No one knew exactly how old she was. Some whispered she came from Saint-Domingue before the Haitian Revolution burned the world. Others believed she had crossed the ocean from West Africa as a girl, carrying memories she never let go of. But everyone agreed on one thing. Mama Essie had seen things, and she knew things. She leaned forward, her voice barely louder than breath, and spoke words that did not belong to English or French or anything the overseers would recognize. The children watching pressed their lips together, eyes wide, terrified, and fascinated. A young mother clutched her baby closer, rocking without realizing it, as if she could protect the child from whatever was being awakened. You see, the 9 dolls were not just dolls. Each one represented a man, 9 white overseers from nearby plantations, men known for cruelty, men who took pride in breaking bodies and spirits, men whose names were spoken only in whispers. Thomas Reed, a man who counted his lashes out loud. Elijah Crow, who laughed when grown men cried. Samuel Pritchard, who carried a Bible in one pocket and a pistol in the other. 9 men, 9 dolls, 9 needles. But here's the question already forming in your mind. Why dolls? Why needles? And why that night? The answer begins weeks earlier, with something small, something history would never bother to remember. A little girl named Liza, no more than 7 years old, thin as a rail, eyes too big for her face. She was crossing the yard with a basket of cotton, her arms shaking from exhaustion. Just for a second, the basket tipped. Cotton spilled onto the dirt like snow. That second cost her everything. Thomas Reed saw it. He didn't shout. He smiled, a slow, patient smile. Before anyone could move, before her mother could scream, he struck the child once, again, and again. When it was over, Liza didn't get up. That night, the quarters were silent in a way that felt wrong. No singing, no prayers, just grief, thick and suffocating. Liza lived, but something inside her broke forever. She stopped speaking, stopped laughing, stopped looking people in the eye. And that is when Mama Essie was called. She knelt beside the child's pallet, placed 2 fingers gently on Liza's chest. She said nothing, just nodded, as if she had expected this all along. Later, she asked for 9 things. 9 scraps of cloth, 9 personal items from the overseers, hair from a brush, a thread from a coat, a button that had touched their skin. And 9 needles. Someone whispered, "It won't work. Nothing works on white men." Mama Essie looked up. Her eyes were dark, sharp. "Pain works on everyone," she said. "The body listens, even when the mind don't." What Mama Essie practiced was not spectacle. It was not noise. It was quiet, intentional, belief passed down by people who survived the unspeakable. That night, the air felt charged, like a storm holding its breath. Mama Essie picked up the first doll. She spoke a name. Thomas Reed. The candle flickered, and she pushed the needle into the doll's leg, far away. Thomas Reed screamed. Not fear, pain, raw, animal. He clawed at his thigh, convinced something had stabbed him in his sleep. There was no wound, no blood, but he could not stand. His leg refused to obey him. Mama Essie moved to the second doll, Elijah Crow, another needle. This time, the arm. Across the plantation, Crow dropped his whiskey glass. His arm fell useless at his side. By morning, he could not lift it. One by one, the needles went in, a shoulder, a spine, a neck. Each time, somewhere else. A man cried out in terror. By dawn, all 9 overseers were paralyzed. Doctors came, men in clean coats, smelling of tobacco and arrogance. They whispered, shook their heads. Hysteria, nerve trouble, God's punishment. But none could explain it. And the enslaved people? They knew. There were no cheers, no celebrations, just quiet looks, careful hope. For the first time, the overseers were afraid, and power hates fear. Soldiers arrived a week later. Mama Essie was taken in the night. No trial, no record, no grave, but the overseers never recovered. And something changed. They stopped whipping. Rules softened, not from mercy, but fear. Because when pain comes for you in your sleep, you begin to behave differently. Imagine Mama Essie's final moments. Alone, beaten, mocked. But imagine this too, a smile. Not because she survived, not because she won, but because she reminded the world of something it tries to forget. Power does not always come from strength. Sometimes it comes from memory, from belief, from refusing to accept that suffering is all you're allowed to have. This is not a story about dolls or needles. It is a story about courage whispered in the dark. And sometimes, that is enough.